Ever wish you had a personal assistant working for you 24/7? Someone who could manage your calendar, check you into flights, and maybe even write a little code for you? Well, one of the most viral open source projects right now, called OpenClaw, promises to turn your very own computer into exactly that. So let's dive in and see how this thing actually works. But first, before we even get into the tech, you gotta hear about its hilarious identity crisis. The project originally started out as Claudebot, and it had this really cool lobster mascot. But then, it got a trademark complaint from Anthropic, the folks behind the AI named Claude. So what did they do? They cleverly renamed it Moltbot. Get it? Because lobsters molt. Eventually, it landed on its final form, OpenClaw. And this whole journey really gets to the heart of its promise, which is summed up perfectly by its tagline, the AI that actually does things. See, this isn't just another chatbot you have a conversation with. It's designed to be an active agent, a real doer, right there on your own machine. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll start with that quirky identity crisis. Then we'll dive into what makes a local assistant so different. We're going to see how it becomes your digital employee, uncover its biggest superpower, and its one major flaw, and then explore the brilliant fix that makes it seriously useful. And finally, we'll look at what this all means for the future of personal AI. All right, Section 2, Beyond the Cloud Assistant. So what does it really mean to go beyond a typical cloud assistant? Well, the secret sauce is that this AI lives on your computer. And that, my friends, changes the entire game. Think about it. A cloud AI like ChatGPT lives way out there on some remote server. It can't see the files on your desktop. It can't run a command in your terminal. And every conversation kind of starts from scratch. But OpenClaw, it runs locally. It has full system access, meaning it can read your files, organize your folders, and execute code. Plus, it's persistent. It's always on, always ready. This all boils down to a really powerful philosophy. Your assistant, your machine, your rules. Because it's on your device, you have the ultimate control and privacy. It's your data on your hardware playing by your rules. You're not sending any sensitive info off to some third-party cloud. Okay, Section 3, your 24/7 digital employee. This whole local-first approach opens up a powerful new way of thinking, treating your computer not just as a tool, but as a tireless employee that actually works for you. In fact, this fascinating trend has started to pop up. People are calling it the Mac Mini phenomenon. Users are actually buying dedicated, low-power computers like Mac Minis, setting up OpenClaw on them, and just letting them run 24/7 in a corner somewhere. That little machine becomes a full-time digital employee, handling tasks in the background while you work, sleep, or you're away from your desk. And you might think this is super complex to set up, but getting started is surprisingly easy. It's basically 3 steps. You install it on your machine, you connect it to your favorite chat app, like Telegram or Slack, and then you start adding skills, which are basically plugins that give it all sorts of new abilities. Let's walk through a real-world example. Imagine you're out and about and an idea pops into your head. You can just pull out your phone, open up Telegram, and type a command like, hey, create a Java code for printing numbers from 1 to 10. And just like that, back on your computer at home, OpenClaw gets the message, creates a brand new file, and writes the code. You're essentially remote controlling your home computer from anywhere in the world just by sending a simple text. How cool is that? And that brings us to Section 4, the superpower and the catch. So, as you can see, this opens up a world of incredible possibilities. But like with any powerful new tech, there's always a catch. First, let's talk about the superpower. Thanks to a community marketplace called the Malt Hub, you can install skills that let your assistant do some pretty amazing things. I mean, it can see a flight confirmation in your email and just check you in automatically. It can act as a calendar guard and decline meetings that mess with your focus time. It can even push code to GitHub or manage your Trello boards. The potential here is just huge. It sounds almost perfect, right? But there's one really frustrating flaw that all the early users ran into pretty quick. And that flaw is amnesia. As YouTuber AI Code King put it, quote, it loses context way too often. You could spend all this time teaching it your preferences and project details, but then the next day, or even after a long chat, it would just forget everything. It was literally like hiring a brand new employee every single morning. So, Section 5, giving your AI perfect memory. This was a massive pain point, but the community came up with a really elegant solution that gives the AI a perfect, persistent memory. It's a skill called Byte Rover, and you can think of it as a dedicated long-term memory for your AI.
What it does is create something called a context tree, and it stores all your critical info, your project details, your communication style, your workflows, completely separate from the AI's short-term memory. So now, when OpenClaw restarts or loses its context, it's no big deal. It just pings Byte Rover, instantly gets all that critical information back, and picks up right where it left off. It's a simple but super powerful fix that makes the assistant truly reliable for serious work. And that brings us to our final section. The future is local. With a persistent memory and full access to your machine, where does all this lead? Well, we're seeing a fundamental shift in how we even interact with AI. This quote from developer Tim Kacker just nails it. You gotta treat it like another team member. The goal isn't just to have a tool that you command anymore. The goal is to cultivate an AI teammate. You give it a computer, maybe its own email or Slack account, and you integrate it into your workflow like a persistent 24/7 collaborator.
And the next frontier here is even more exciting. See, right now, OpenClaw still needs to call out to an API from OpenAI or Anthropic, and that can get expensive. The ultimate vision is to run these powerful large language models entirely locally on your own hardware. That would completely eliminate API costs and give you unparalleled privacy. Which leaves us with one last, really fascinating thought. As this tech gets more and more powerful, you've got to ask yourself, if your computer could truly work for you 24/7 with a perfect memory and the access to do anything you can, what's the very first thing you would have it do?